So you're happy to take over the channel, which is fine. You're more than welcome to it.
Definitely not doing that.
You can pick the charities, you can do the work. It's all good. It's all fine.
Can I do the fun bit of giving it away? Like,
Yeah,
that'd be the fun bit.
Yeah.
I'm up for doing that. I can help do that. It's just
fine.
generating people to watch. I'm meant to be being professional.
I know, it's not gone well, but that's okay. It's fine.
Hi guys, welcome back to CMD and another video. You join me here at Porsche Centre, Nottingham, to answer a very, very important question. If you're in the market for a 100,000 plus SUV and you're considering the Porsche Cayenne, do you go for the V8 S or the V6 hybrid? A conversation that a few people have, probably not too many, but I thought the idea of the video today was to grab Tom Hale, one of the team here at Porsche Centre Nottingham, someone I've been dealing with personally now for a number of years, get him in front of the camera, share the experience of both cars and compare them and take you along. So let's go and find the V8 to start, and then we'll jump. Okay.
I might watch TV actually.
Can you do that on this screen?
Yeah, you can watch TV. It's not plumbed in, but we could watch TV.
Not while you're driving.
I can, but you can't see it.
Okay.
So, like, from a driver's point of view, I can see everything. You can like dial your Netflix and stuff into it as well, which is quite cool. It works on a thing called like Smart Hits TV.
Right. First on the hit list, the Cayenne S, and an introduction to Tom Hale.
Hello.
From Porsche Nottingham. I've mentioned Tom a number of times over the past couple of years. He is the original contact from when I bought my Carrera S, and the legend that keeps putting me in cars for videos that hopefully some of you guys have tuned into before. So Tom, thank you for coming on the channel.
No problem. Thank you for bringing me.
Very brave of you.
I feel like I'm going to be famous now. The car mad dad. Famous.
With the 3 people who watch this video, almost definitely.
Well, that's me and you and one other.
That's it. And welcome to the Cayenne S. Now, as discussed in the intro, we've talked about this car a lot, and the different variants, and this is obviously a new model to Porsche. You think this is the one to have, whereas I would be minded to head for the V6 hybrid.
I love it, but you know me quite well now. I'm professionally unprofessional. Is bigger always better? I don't know. Someone like me, yeah, full litre V8 makes loads of noise. I like it. It's power. I think you'll prefer it, but I might be wrong.
Let's see. Let's see. I think the only way to find out is to go for a drive. Just before we do that, this particular demonstrator has got, as all demonstrators do these days, some pretty nice kit on it. A few highlights for me. Sunroof. Looks pretty special. And then the screen, to me, looks like it extends forever. So is that some sort of passenger screen?
So you've got a passenger display, and I know that you can't see it,
yeah.
But the passenger display works like it does in Taycan. So the only difference is that now as a passenger, I can see it, but as a driver, you can't.
Okay.
It's a bit like technology that's been used in some other brands previously. So it does all the functionality that Taycan does: sat nav, driver control, controls the main PCM unit, or Porsche control module, for anyone that wants to be a bit more technical.
Right.
There's a really cool thing about that in there, because it's fast wireless charging.
Yes.
It's actually a new thing for Cayenne as well, so it's got the air conditioning that goes underneath. If it doesn't work now, I'm going to pretend
No,
that
it works.
Yeah,
No, I'm
it,
sure
it will work to you. It'll pop up on the display in a moment. There we go. Your device is fast charging wirelessly.
Okay, so we'll put that away. Big fan of safety. And let's start this bad boy up. Ready?
Let's go.
Sounds
That's
good.
a good noise.
Yeah, it sounds.
And that's a normal.
So gear sticks up here.
Yeah.
A little bit different. Nothing too drastic, but then obviously everything is very familiar Porsche. So the steering wheel's identical to the 911 GTS that just come out of, but then obviously the dash is the same as the Taycan, or looks like the same as Taycan.
It follows that sort of Porsche driver experience, which is what they call it now.
This is my second ever drive of a Cayenne. My first actually being when you lent me one when we were waiting for my Carrera S to be ready.
And that was previous generation, wasn't
Yeah,
it? I forgot about that, and I got to
gen.
come out to Wales and see you there. That was the first time I ever went to Wales.
This interface,
it's all new, it's much sharper, so you'll see the screen's a lot sharper, there's a lot more clarity. They're always updating it, so it is always changing. That's the great thing now, like with a lot of things. When I started selling cars, it was, if you got a sat-nav, it was lucky.
Yeah.
Aircon was an option. Whereas now, everything is so technology advanced, everything is just software-based. So this is going to be pulling through live updates all the time, and all your live traffic and that sort of thing. But they're all the things you'd expect a Porsche to do.
my only experience of a Cayenne previously is the previous gen. So this is the first time in this gen. The first thing that I would say is immediately noticeable is the suspension is softer. Better, softer.
Do you know what that is?
Go on.
There's an exact number of science to this, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it used to be one or the other. This is one way round or the other, and I'm a very bad salesman, as you can tell. But they went from either a triple chamber suspension system to a dual chamber suspension system.
Right.
And they could only control the flow in one way.
Yeah.
Now they can control the suspension and the rebound.
Yeah.
And again, I've not explained that the best way because it's off the top of my head.
It's
and
improved.
that's going to make a big difference. That's the whole way through the range.
Because I remember thinking of the last one I drove. It was very nice, very plush, very Porsche. You get all the sort of interface, comfortable place to be. But then the ride was so stiff, it was almost too sporty for an SUV. Whereas this immediately just feels more settled at lower speeds, happy to poodle, which is what it's going to spend a good amount of its time, its life doing, I would imagine.
Most people that buy this car typically want the best of both worlds, don't they? So
Yeah.
I want some sportiness, but I need to be able to either put me in it, I like sitting higher up, or I
Yeah.
want to put the family in it.
Yeah.
The reason I think you'll like it is it's... We'll see as we go.
We'll see as we
just
go.
start playing
See
with
as
those
we-
driving
yeah.
modes.
So this must have air suspension.
Everyone that I know that's driven this car, or has owned one of these cars, a lot of people have gone air suspension. I was lucky enough to go to like the pre-product launch of this car, so training for us, and for any other execs within the Porsche business. And we actually drove this car at Millbrook, and with the air suspension and some other settings that can be dialed in on the car, you've just got such a connected drive. But then if you take it off road, which granted I know not many people are going to do, everything fully engages and disconnects.
Yeah.
From an off-road point of view. So we're not going to do it. Most people probably never will, but
No.
the capability is there.
And I'm just toggling through the interfaces, so I can have what I would refer to as sort of the Audi map, if you like. I can have the map on my dials, as it were, or you can go to sort of full map, which is a bit wow, and then quite a nice simplified display. That is very me.
It is very simple.
Yeah, just literally what speed am I doing, what is the speed limit. So it doesn't have to be information overload, basically. You can sort of toggle between how you want things.
And in those displays, you can actually change everything that's in there. So obviously your big display, you found that one.
Yeah.
Within that heads-up display, you can fully customise that to do what you want it to do.
As we start to just have a look at this, so as well, we can toggle through our sports chrono. The only difference between this sports chrono and the one in the 911 is that instead of wet on this, I get off-road.
But we can change it, and there's different terrain settings as well. So we can choose like between gravel, mud, sand, and it will individually adjust everything like in the differentials and the suspension as well. So you've got the optimum grip.
So far, on the warm-up, I would say very plush. So I can flick it into manual. Don't know why you would necessarily. Revs up to just short of 7,000. Okay, so I wasn't necessarily expecting like a bit of a personality, i.e. a bit of like, oh, I feel like I could have fun in this.
It's definitely got some grunt behind it, hasn't it? It just hides it well.
Feels like you could zip around things, case in point, quite easily. Very effortless. Newark, let's try that.
I'll give you the heads up on this road. It is the world's noisiest dual carriageway.
Good test.
Nottingham.
And that's a speed check. Goes well. Flipping heck.
I think because of the differences between what it is and the improvements they made on this versus the last one. I mean, this effectively is the GTS of the previous generation.
Yeah.
because the last S had just got 2 turbos bolted onto that 6-cylinder petrol engine, whereas this is now your 4-litre V8, because there's rumour that there won't be a GTS, because how do you top this? What do you do to it? I mean, you've got to crank more power out of it.
Yeah.
And how? They got more power out of the V8 anyway by, another little geeky fact if you're bothered about geeky facts, was they changed the camshafts.
Okay.
Which then gave it more power at the same time, and it also made it better on fuel. That wasn't their intention, because they don't really look at fuel economy.
Yeah.
But it gave it more power and better fuel economy. So it's where do they go with this? It's just force more power through it.
But it's got a bit of personality, so you feel like there's definitely a sense of occasion. Porsche badge from Stuttgart tells you that sort of no sooner you sit here, you get a very high-end feel. Graphics are obviously right up there these days, but then when you want to go, you've still got that ability to do so.
What do you think the 0 to 60 time is? Sports chrono, of course.
So as it is.
As it is.
4 point, starts with a 4.8.
Little bit close, but not so close.
What, lower?
Go lower.
4.5.
A little bit lower.
4.4.
Got it.
Right. Okay. And you know what this is doing at the moment, and I love it, is doing adaptive cruise control. So from a sort of sit here and talk to you, living with it, cruising along the road, it's driving itself, which is just my favourite thing. But then if you were, let's say you sat on a motorway at 60, you need to go around something, so I'm in normal mode, 60 mph, boot it, pick up revs, that's 70. Yeah, it's
dead easy.
It's going to go up to something like, see, like 155 mile an hour, isn't it?
Bit more.
Okay, 165.
A little bit more.
Oh my god, 170.
That's what Porsche say. I don't know what it actually does, we can't find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say 170 miles an hour, but again, it's always
like I can imagine, because it just feels like it would pull and pull and pull the engines. Just pull it like a train, won't it? It's a monster. I can't get over the Jekyll and Hyde of it. So 60 mile an hour, 1,500 revs, cruising, very easy place to be. Feels like I could be in a diesel, and yet the reality of that is that I can put my foot down and have sort of a very impressive car, which is now braking for me because it thinks I'm going to crash, which is arguably what I might do if I'm not careful.
Imagine a tractor being in Nottinghamshire. I'm from Lincolnshire, so it's a regular size, isn't it?
You prefer the V8 over the hybrid? Depends on usage, I guess.
I'm fortunate enough to get to look at these cars every single day.
Yeah.
But not fortunate enough to own one.
Yeah.
I like noise, and I just like a V8. And I think engines have got smaller.
Yeah, of course.
And just more powerful.
Yeah.
So I think the V8 rawness, and I think as we're going towards electric as well, you're going to lose that from cars.
There's something about this that's just got a personality that, and it's that visceral. It's soul, isn't it? I don't know how you describe it, but it's just there's something visceral about the car that you wouldn't get from a Taycan, and yet arguably you'd have had just the same experience. But there's just that soul and that smile that it can put on your face out of very little, I suspect.
You've driven most of our range, so you know, in fact, probably all of it to be fair. So you know that you get in any one car with Porsche, and you can drive any of them quite comfortably.
It doesn't lean like a big car.
And that's only normal as well, so we can stiffen that up further.
Yeah, so that's soft, isn't it? That's soft suspension.
Porsche Dynamic chassis control, it's like stiffening the car up as well for you, seeing it less of that body roll. So as the car's like trying to lean over, it's trying to sort of put us back the other way.
It's trying to keep you straight.
I'm meant to be being professional.
I know, it's not going well, but that's okay. Alright, so I think on that note, it's time to head back and have a little go in the hybrid.
I think that's a good idea.
Let's do that. Ta-da! Thanks to the magic of YouTube, we are in the Cayenne V6 hybrid. Very different experience to start this car as it is now started. So I'm essentially fully in electric power, or e-power as it is known in Porsche. Still really weird. it's completely opposite to what we've just done. So Tom, just while I'm figuring out what on earth is going on, talk me through this car, because it's different spec to the one we've just been in. Nice colour,
Nice colour, Arctic grey.
Arctic grey, which I think might be the new crayon.
It's like the new version of
Yeah.
crayon. A lot of people refer to it as that because it's a much darker colour. It was actually a launch colour, to be fair, for the GT4 RS and the Cayenne Turbo GT.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's got a lot of popularity. But the car itself, so you've got 3 litre, 6-cylinder petrol engine,
Yeah.
along with a big electric motor.
So yeah, I haven't experienced the engine yet because it's essentially then, so it automates to electric power until I ask it to sort of...
By default, unless you put your foot down aggressively,
Yeah.
it's going to stay there in e-power. That's like your default driving mode.
Okay.
So the moment you sit in the car, turn it on, by default, electric of course, most cost effective. Cost effective in Porsche, if you put those together.
Yeah, I know.
E-power, you're good to go. Just over 100 brake horsepower from the electric motor.
Yeah, it feels like a lot more than that.
You've got regen.
Yeah.
So your brakes will feel a lot different to what we've just been out in. Sensor all kicking in, let us know what's going on around us.
Don't crash.
Surround view camera on this is amazing.
That is very good.
You can click in different areas and choose.
So
like,
if I click, it gives me a bit of a...
yeah, so we can see like that area. So it's actually
It's
quite cool.
showing me the car in 3D. Wow, that's mental.
You're not looking at multi-story
Yeah,
where I can't park.
that's very cool, isn't it?
These are really useful. And then also, I mean, to be fair, what you can do is like drag around the car.
And that's live, that's why we're...
So we can do it.
What on
obviously.
earth was that behind us?
It will distort the
Ew.
image because of where it sits.
Can't BMW grill. Contentious issue.
It will cancel off in a second.
Yeah, no.
There we go. All of a sudden, 11 miles an hour, bang, gone.
And if it was fully charged,
Fully charged.
how much am I expecting of range from the E?
You are going to expect realistically and achievable late 40s. And that is realistic and achievable.
Okay, so if I had a 15-mile commute to and from work, and I pootled, like now, reasonably that's just going to get me to and from work.
Easy,
Okay,
if not further.
yeah. And if I boot it, so I'm doing 37 now in normal mode, if I say, right, give me some power,
Then it'll fire through. But you notice how it's a lot more seamless
yeah,
than other hybrids in the previous generation.
yeah. That's very peculiar. Now the engine's off again.
And then
so
just clicks off
basically-
again.
So I didn't even feel it start.
You don't. And that's with a more aggressive. You're not always going to do it that way.
No.
But for the exercise of like you've seen on a video,
Yeah.
I mean the cameras might pick up the engine sound, but it is dead quiet. I don't think you will.
Yeah,
you hardly hear it.
It's not a noisy car in comparison to the one we've just come from, is it? And everything else then I presume is the same. So this is really about how it drives. So obviously I've still got my modes, albeit that I can flick from e-power to hybrid. So e-power I presume keeps me in electric as long as it can.
Yeah.
Hybrid will mix between the two based on,
Your driving style.
yeah,
And it will chop and change.
okay. And then I've got obviously sport and maximum attack, sport plus. So wow, so if I stuck in hybrid, which makes sense for the sake of a conversation, remind me because we mentioned it in the previous car, sorry, but cost wise this is coming in cheaper than the V8.
Yeah, coming in cheaper than the V8.
Yeah.
You're going to be somewhere, depending again, spec dependent, because it all comes down to options.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to be somewhere in the region of between 15 and 20,000 pound less.
Okay.
But again, a very different car.
Yeah. So certainly more, from my perspective, more serene, more relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously a bit less visceral. If you want to give it, if you want some noise, there's some engine noise there.
You get a bit more.
It's happy to, yeah, it's happy to go. Pop into sport, obviously.
That's now giving us like stiffening up our suspension. Again, we're on air suspension, so we're lowering the ride height, stiffening everything up, opening up the exhaust valves.
Yeah, so it's still got that. Don't get me wrong, it's not as loud as the V8, but it's not a million miles off, is it, from a cabin perspective, just because the soundproofing's just so good as well.
There, your only sort of big. Your chassis is very much the same. Your body shell, granted, this is a coupe, the other one was an SUV, but drive-wise, they're going to drive the same.
Yeah.
Everything else is very, very similar. The one thing that's really cool, and I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up, and the further that we go, the more you'll pick it up. So we're probably about 2 or 3 miles into this drive, and again, the range is conservative, but it shows where you can actually see this blue line, and the more electric charge we use, you'll see this blue line disappear.
And that's basically how far you can get on electric.
How far we can go on electric.
That's clever.
But also, you know, if you're driving in like sport, you can use more regen.
Yeah,
and Sports
okay.
Plus is going to be then, the car's using any of your wasted energy, put it back into the car so then you can reutilise the energy.
Okay, so if I drive it in sport, I'm going to charge the batteries.
Yeah. I mean, it's counterintuitive in a way,
Yeah.
because if you drove in it, you'd burn more fuel.
Yeah, of course. So ride is identical, I can tell you that for sure. Obviously there's less visceral noise in this compared to the V8S that we've just been in, but you also then get a more serene, relaxed EV based ride if you want it, like now, like cruising. Don't necessarily need a V8 to follow 6 cars down a 40 mile an hour road, 50 mile an hour road, excuse me. So you get this sort of, lends itself to almost best of both. This will obviously be more economic.
This massively loads better, and you can write your fuel economy, to be fair, because it all comes down to, let's be honest, most people on a daily basis don't do more than 50 or 60 miles.
No.
So most of their driving's on electric. Some people will hardly use any fuel.
Yeah. So you use it as a EV with a small range, with a petrol tank that essentially means you can go anywhere you want it.
They're both great cars.
Yeah.
If I have a favourite, it's the V8, because I like the noise.
Understood. And it does sound, I mean, the experience of starting that compared to the experience of starting this. And I think, I mean, realistic MPG in that V8 is probably somewhere mid-20s if you're frugal with it.
Yeah, you probably...
Low 20s, mid-20s?
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
You probably could get more, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But you're not going to drive it that way. Whereas in this, if you just use the petrol combustion engine and only use that, you're probably getting 30 to the gallon.
Yeah, I mean, this is showing, bearing in mind this is a demonstrator, so this is probably having quite a hard time of it, I would imagine, at times. Short runs, quick blasts, moving around the forecourt. I mean, even this is showing mid-30s.
Everybody, when they get in a demonstrator, they drive it in a different way, and of course we sell performance sports cars, so people get in them, they put their foot down. So yeah, the fuel economy you see in ours versus others, they're going to be different.
So this is cheaper, more efficient, but obviously just doesn't come with a V8 soundtrack. Saying that, Jesus Christ.
So when you're up there,
I don't think it goes any worse, you know.
When it's up there and in that rev range, because what you've got there is you've got the V6 engine and the electric motor.
It feels really
combined.
sprightly. Really sprightly.
It's not like there's any lag there or anything, is there? It's because that turbos, well not turbos, the electric motors are there.
Wow. Okay. Okay then. Have you got your stats ready? One job.
I know.
One job.
And I'm a letdown.
So the V8 0 to 60 was 4.4 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if it was roughly the same. So I'm going to say 4.5.
4.6.
Okay, so it's slower than the V8.
4.6.
Okay, fair enough. Marginally though. I mean, we're talking
0.2.
fractions. Okay. Top speed, it's going to be slightly less. So 170 was the V8, so it's going to be about 160, 155?
158.
158.
158.
Not that it's going to be relevant, but yeah, understood. Brake horsepower?
Brake horsepower. Curveball first.
Okay.
Top speed and electric. 84 miles an hour. Power output. What do you think? Combined.
Combined, the V8 was 450, wasn't it? 460. I think it's about 420.
470.
So it's more power output.
470.
Okay.
Combined power output.
Okay. Say it's me and the wife decided that we're going to jump out of a Range Rover into a Cayenne. For us, the hybrid lends itself more to us using it. Okay, so I think this is a good place then to just try and summarise, because actually it's relatively straightforward. I think as a thing of carrying substantial mass, including family, dogs, etc., clearly lends itself well. Loads of space in the boot, good back seats, lots of space in the cabin, very comfortable place to be. I like it, really pleasant. The V8 is definitely a more visceral, boisterous, you know, thumpy experience, and if money is no object and you're really not bothered about economy, you'd probably go for the V8. So arguably that's the sweet spot until they build a sweet spot, or they won't, or they'll decide they've already got one. This is the sensible option. Okay, it's certainly a premium product, it's got a premium price tag. Porsche will back it with residual value to an extent, like someone like Range Rover or BMW would in the same vein. So what it really comes down to then is preference. More impressed with this. I thought I'd like it, but I'm more impressed with this than I thought I would be, and the actual electronic range has proven accurate. So even though this is a test drive, I've been thumping it a little, it's done the range it said it was going to do. I've not sat in a 4x4 for a long time that I feel I could see myself driving, and this is probably the only one. Today I've test driven the GTS, Carrera 4 GTS, the V8 of this Cayenne, and the hybrid of this. And on that note, I think if it was my money out of the two, I would have the hybrid. And I think, without speaking for Tom, if it was his money, he'd have the V8.
I mean, I've got a lot of money to find, and it might take me a long time.
You and me both.
But I would go V8.
So I think that evidences that it's just down to preference. And on that bombshell, to coin a very famous phrase from a very famous motoring journalist, it's time to end this video. Huge thank you to Tom Hale. It's nice to actually have him here to say thank you in person. Thank you very much, Tom. Tom's been supporting the channel for a number of years now. Without him, 5 of my last 10 videos, quite frankly, wouldn't have been made, which means half of the donations that we've made wouldn't have been made. Those of you who are new to CMD, we've been set up as a YouTube channel with a difference. All the revenue we generate from videos like the one you're watching right now all lands into a designated bank account, which essentially means that you watching videos means that I can make donations to local, national and international charities and good causes. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that's been of use to someone, somewhere, and hopefully I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Wave, Tom.
I was waving. That was a good wave, wasn't it? It was a good wave.
Thank you.